G'day, it's Jono Brake here from The Forged Leader, and I'm here with another Monday Myth Check, and that is people don't really change. This one I've talked about a lot. Now, I run a program. You can go and do an online course with me as well and come and have me train your teams and coach around DISC. DISC is a behavioral tool. It helps us understand how we behave. Some of that's related to how we're wired and then what's going to naturally happen in a place. But there's any number of tools like that talk about this is kind of in that moment who you are. And so we want to look at this in the context of, do people change? I'm here to tell you today that I firmly believe people do change. Yes, you have strengths. Yes, you have gifts. Yes, you have upbringing. You might have been an athlete all your life. You're going to be more athletic even going into older age unless you get some serious injury. You might have been a good musician all your life. You'll probably be a good musician until the day you die. But what I'm saying is there's still change that can happen in those places. I think we do grow and adapt. I think we do have core tendencies, but I think we adapt to those tendencies. And the other piece is we can make choices to flex to other tendencies and styles and learn things. At the age of 46, I learned to ride mountain bikes, and I love it. I didn't know I would. I didn't really know I could, but I love it. So this whole idea that people don't change, I think they do. So let's have a look at a couple of truths in here. This is why we say that the most important thing for a leader to learn is self-awareness, because awareness gives us the fuel to change. Okay. So if I know I behave a certain, and I've seen this over and over and over with my clients as we've coached them through certain behaviors and the shadow sides of those behaviors and how they can improve them, but also the good sides and how they can optimize them. We've seen them adapt and change and become something very different. I use DISC as a framework. And so when people do DISC with me and they understand their default patterns, then they can start to say, okay, if I have these default patterns and other people have their own default patterns, then as a leader, I can serve them better by thinking about the way they're wired and how I can adapt to them. Behavior is flexible. I may be wired in terms of DISC. I might be a high dominant or a high steady or whatever it might be, but I can still learn to flex my style. I can learn to be something for someone else, to be able to serve someone better. Remember, leadership is all about the way we serve others. I don't like the term servant leader because I think leadership is service. And so we shouldn't really differentiate leadership and servant leadership, but it is how you serve others. So that means there's going to be a way I flex. There's going to be things I do that make sense to you. And when I don't, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to adapt. And believe it or not, like I think about in the DISC, the conscientious, which is the data-driven style, which was extremely low for me until I started running businesses and having to know the numbers and the strategy. But then it really ramped up when we moved to America and I needed to do government forms and be accurate with data and know processes and how to do things and learn to live life in another country. It was fascinating because I became much more conscientious. My conscientious went down from about 10% up to about 50% energy. And it's become more of a part of my journey as I've gotten older, partly catapulted by that life event. So big life events change us as well. The last thing, and I think most of life falls into this, but change is a choice. So is change hard? Yes, that's why most people think you can't change because it's hard. But you can make deliberate acts to change. We've already talked about flexing to other people's style. You can get people around you that can challenge you in the things you think about. That's what I do as a coach. We can think about, I've seen people transform dramatically. They may still be that dominant character, but to watch them become more steady and stable in the way they do things is phenomenal because there is that ability to flex and to enjoy that space as well. So that's the third thing there. So there are three things in terms of considering. There's awareness that fuels growth. There's the fact that behavior is flexible and we can change. And the change at the end of the day is a choice. You can change. And so what's the action step? Well, there's a couple of action steps. One might be a bit selfish. I'd really encourage you to go and do my online DISC workshop. There's a fee to do it. You get a DISC report. You work through the videos, do the work. You can then book a 15-minute appointment with me if you want it. Have a look at that, and that's going to give you just a good language framework for how you behave and what are some things that you could do to serve others better in your team. So there's that. But then once you've done that, I'd like you to look at the core kind of results you got and think, how do I take that behavior and flex it to serve someone else better? Just an action that you can take this week that could really help you. I'd love to hear what you come up with in that. I see people do it all the time. It's a really beautiful thing when it works well. So Monday Myth Check. People don't really change. I believe they do. So I think that's actually a myth that needs checking. I'm Jono Brake. This is Monday Myth Check. As always, enjoy the journey.
Well, g'day, it's Jono Brake here today, and I want to quickly talk to you about self-awareness in leadership and a DISC program that I'm launching. So one of the areas that I'm really well trained in, worked in for 15 to 20 years, is this assessment tool called DISC. And it basically helps you understand how people behave, how they interact with each other, how they connect, how they disconnect as well, how they can handle conflict, how they coach, how they guide, all these different things. But at the end of the day, it comes from this really important premise that the most important thing in a great leader is an understanding of their own space, their own disposition, their self-awareness. So this DISC workshop is designed to be a simple multi-video process where you can unpack DISC and you can look at it in terms of your own space. You'll do an assessment, so you'll know what your assessment is, and then you go through the videos and you can then book a 15 to 20 minute session with me at the end if you want to. But then also think about, okay, how does this apply to my team? And should we be doing this into your team? But this is where we're at today. I want you to think about coming and doing this DISC workshop with me. It's all online, so you can do it at your own pace, and then we can chat at the end. Hope you're enjoying the journey. I'm looking forward to seeing you on my DISC workshop.